Why is considering road design so important? It ultimately all comes back to sustainable development goals, especially target 3.6 and target 11.2, and it's about halving those road deaths. It is such a big problem. The ones we're focusing on is the orange ones, which are the infrastructure ones. Target 4 that focuses on existing roads. But for the target 3, which is particularly relevant, you can see that down the bottom is a 3-star or better for brand new roads. And this really reflects how things are designed and how things are made has shifted a lot into build it right first time, build it so that you don't then have to go and retrofit, especially because retrofitting typically in the road safety terms will cost 10 times the price to put, say, a safety barrier in afterwards rather than doing it when it was designed. The whole context with star rating for designs is it's not one solution, but it reflects that with the existing star rating collection, you have different suppliers who might collect it in slightly different ways, whether that's with a van going down the road or whether it's using street view data or something similar to that. And certainly with designs, it's that same kind of process that, yes, we've developed the Star for Designs web app to cater for one audience, but certainly we know a lot of other people who are actually doing this kind of thing using Excel and just working straight with an upload file. Or in Qatar, they actually built a plugin for Autodesk that was able to record the road features. And so the primary thing is about having that feedback loop. So before you've actually gone out and actually built anything, you can say, what is the safety level going to be on my road? So you don't open it and then wait for 3 years for the crash data to happen and go, actually, we missed a trick there. So if I pass on to Chris, who will actually expand about how's this practically been working with Arup and the work they've been doing.
Thanks, James. I'm Arup's UK Highway Engineering Skill Leader, and part of my role is about how we plan our own internal investment in terms of research, development, innovation. We're an independently owned design consultancy firm. We have these 6 aims, and these very strongly align back to the Sustainable Development Goals and the road safety agenda within that. And that ownership that we have allows us then to choose slightly more independently how we invest our own funding in looking at different solutions or different approaches. We've developed something called outcome-led design, which is aimed at being this touch point between some of these higher level agendas and actually what we do on our design projects or other projects we're delivering for clients. And that's all with a mantra around sustainable development, a complete total design, and ultimately sort of delivering more from roads, not necessarily more roads, but more from the roads we've got and the interventions we choose. How that actually relates in a road safety context, and this is where it became quite interesting looking at the linkages between the different aspects of those high level policies from the SDGs through into the targets and the decade of action pillars. But that gave us a very tangible route as an organisation to look at what we could do across all our business in terms of improving road safety. This took us back to, well, actually, let's use the safe system model for a moment as an organisation and think about what we do across the whole aspect of the safe system model. And it showed a lot of good things as an organisation we are doing. But then we took the view that actually we too often will design roads and infrastructure to be compliant with standard, and actually what can we do to make schemes as safe as they can be. And that led us through into the star rating and then ultimately star rating for design. So we've now been testing it on about half a dozen schemes within the UK, coding schemes at the design stage to really test the tool, understand what it's telling us and the benefits that it can bring to the projects. The first stage, you can provide that tick that you delivered 3-star or better designs, which is a really important thing. The ease of understanding and almost the marketing benefit that can provide. But more interestingly, the risk worms on the right show 2 different design options for the same scheme, and they were broadly designed to standard. There isn't a scheme there that is not compliant and couldn't be delivered. But the 2 options show a very different level of risk associated with, this case, a particular junction that couldn't be removed when a lower gradient was provided, but by steepening the gradient slightly, it allowed us to remove that junction, and therefore actually allowed us to aspire to a design that was better, it was safer, even though technically both of them would have complied with standard. So it allows us to challenge designers, challenge the assumptions we make, and make better decisions about what's the safest scheme. The other element that we've been looking at is how we use the FSI estimation to provide some level of verification and articulation of the safety benefits. So in this case, we've looked at the FSI estimation of the existing road and then run the model to look at the FSI estimation of the design. And that gives us a figure on an annual basis where we can understand not just the reduction in risk, but actually how that could transpire through into reductions in fatal and serious injuries. The testing we've done, we've been looking at actually what does that mean in terms of use cases across broadly two different stages of projects. The first is around the earlier stage, sort of feasibility and optioneering type stages, and the second one being more in the preliminary and detailed design stages. And we've identified 7 broad areas where we think there is the varying levels of value cases, and the first 3 or 4 are very much around design decisions. So using the demonstrator tool at an early stage to test cross sections or standard details to understand, are they going to provide limitations to the star rating you could achieve. The next couple, corridor and option comparison and departures from standard reviews, allow you to articulate the different risk profiles of options and actually choose the best option for the scheme, considering the wider constraints that may be there. The fourth one down, design improvement opportunities, is using the interventions to actually see, are there things we can do to improve the design beyond what we sort of set out at the starting point. And then the final 3 are more of an articulating the value case and the benefits. So providing that full star rating for design, so looking much broader at what the customer, the wider road user experience is. How is the experience for motorcyclists or pedestrians or cyclists? And then the final one is a sense check around, are the economic benefits broadly as we would expect for the scheme? And in some cases, it may be that the forecast FSIs allow us to provide a stronger case than a more traditional case may have provided. This isn't around, in my view, removing any of the tools we currently use in the design process. Design standards, best practice, and road safety audits are all a really strong and rigorous part of the process. But the star rating does provide a different tool to the design teams and allows them to challenge some of those traditional decisions. So the key benefits that we've identified so far is quantifying risk of different options. That example I showed you earlier, being able to make a decision in a clear way, understanding the risk and not just qualitative views around the road safety impact. Clearly highlighting risks for all road users to designers. We started out looking at star rating for vehicle occupant, and you might find you have 3 star and you sort of go tick, great. But actually, when you look at it for a motorcyclist, you've only got 1 star. And although they may be a relatively low number of road users, we need to focus on all of them if we're going to really pull down the people injured and killed on roads. It allows us to challenge improvements to the design that comply with standards. So actually, how can you go above and beyond the minimum baseline in standards? And then the final 2, speeds. And that's a really interesting point when you get into the design space and you haven't got operating speed. You're making assumptions about the difference between speed limit, operating speed, and design speeds, and what you can do to better encourage or enforce lower speeds. It does provide an independent verification or rating. It provides something there that people can understand and is quantifiable and consistent across a region, a country, or the globe.